Google paid me to grow 800 channels. And only later I learned that some of the richest people, they actually have tiny channels and do not need to grow subscribers.
This is Anastazja Debowska. She spent 6 years inside YouTube managing over 800 channels, training creators on what the platform supposedly wanted. She was rejected by Google 6 times before finally getting hired, and almost 2 years ago she quit. But here's what makes the conversation different. Nastia isn't just going to tell you how YouTube works. She's going to show you how even the smallest channels can make good money without having tons of subscribers. I'm Gabe Marushka, and this is Authority in the Wild, where we believe the safest path is the one you design yourself. If you're done following someone else's map, you're in the right place. Welcome to the wild. Nastia, you just mentioned that after you left Google, you realized that some of the smallest channels in terms of subscribers were making lots of money. That's contradicting, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of YouTube and the media, they are conditioning us to watch the largest people. YouTube is like, watch Mr. Beast, he's the biggest, or like, watch the creator who has 50 million views on shorts. And we all are falling into the trap that if we're not as big, we are a failure, which is the biggest lie in the world. And I'll prove it with a case study. Recently, I met a channel. He is my client, but also friend and dearest person. His channel only broke 5,000 subscribers in 3 years. So this is not the most ambitious goal people have.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah. I want the 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, they're like, I want 1 million in 6 months. And he took his study, right? But the channel drives 80% of his business. 80% of his business in the country. And he's the largest in his country. And guess what he's doing? So basically he's doing gas delivery, liquid gas.
Interesting.
So our listeners from colder countries, they will recognize that some of the houses are warmed up with gas. Okay? So this is fuel. What he does, he delivers this fuel to houses, he delivers this fuel to businesses. He installs this in houses and he installs this for businesses. So he has huge construction contracts. He's the largest supplier in his country, best positioned across all of the web, and everything thanks to his YouTube channel. Up to the point that his first customer came when he had just 100 views, and customers pay him more. His customer called him and told, I want to buy gas from you because I don't know faces of any other supplier, but I know your face. So we'll pay you more. But in case you deliver bad product to me, I have something to destroy, which is your image. Which really
That's an interesting proposal coming from a client. Like, if I
right?
were this YouTube guy, I was like, I don't want to work with this individual, but
Which sounds pretty hostile until you think about the fact that he generally has like fantastic ethics of work. So whatever he delivers is fantastic. And also if you think about his business, if you can like the gas he delivers is essentially like a container, which is boring, regular shape, regular size, regular color container. And imagine everyone sells the same thing. How do you diversify? No way. And all of his competition, they only compete with pricing. They're like making pricing lower and lower and lower and lower. And you as a business owner will know that it's absolute road nowhere. And this is not a good way to go. Right? So he instead can grow his price, but people are still willing to pay him because, oh, we see Tom. We see Tom educates us about gas. Tom shows his factory. Tom shows this and this and this. And this is how his tiniest channel, one, turned out to be the largest in his niche in the world, but secondly, like covers all his needs.
that's interesting. Like, when you think about it, you'll like the narrative that you started. Most people think that you need tons of subscribers in order to make money, because all the people think that AdSense, and for those that are not familiar, the monetization that YouTube offers is the way to go. But if you have a service, if you have a business, and you link it to your face that appears on a YouTube channel, that's how you can grow your business. And if you go a bit back in time, like when you're working at YouTube, like, can you break us down like your day-to-day role there? to kind of gain the perspective of how you got these insights and share that experience that you had there?
So this is a funny question because, Gaba, I'll ask you a question. How did you learn to become a podcaster?
By doing it in 2 weeks, literally. I just search Google, YouTube, watching videos, and so on.
So my journey was the same. I just learned this different thing. YouTube is like not super new. It's I think 18 years old or 20. No, 18. This is still a job of like growing the videos on YouTube is not taught anywhere, or at least is not taught anywhere properly. So in this industry, we'll never find people like with proper education, unless filmmakers. But you'll be surprised how little filmmakers are actually YouTube professionals. So the way I learned, okay, let's speak about the onboarding. Okay, I got interviewed. I'm getting to Google, and they're like, "This is 30 days, and this is all the presentation we have. Go through that." And like besides the fact that Google is just overwhelming company, you have no idea what's happening. In 30 days, I ended up where like, okay, I've skimmed through all of the presentations and I remember nothing.
Classic.
And then here is what we call portfolio. So how Google works? Google has this internal department of exclusive consultants. I call it McKinsey for YouTube channels. Okay, so we have a team of like people who are there to work with largest YouTube channels and advise them on how grow their views and revenues. We'll go back to rounds. So this is us. And we have a list of creators we have to work with. Have to, right? So this is the list. It's a very long list.
So it's
It's a very
not
long
like
list.
you select your own creators. You've been delivered a list of creators, I assume in different niches, and you just have to deal with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much yes. If you look at the program website, you will see that it's invite only. So it's kind of YouTube decides whom to invite, and it wasn't me to decide. I was just work. This is the list, and for me specifically, I did not have a privilege to specialize. I had moments when, in like on the same list, I had to advise a fishing creator, chess creator, car creator, business creator, finance creator, cooking, I don't know, DIY, and then like challenges and everything. And this is all like happening in one laptop. Okay. So privilege of specialization does not exist. So day number 31 or like 32. So start of the second month, you have the list of, of people you have to talk to. You come on a call. And now the secret, you come on a call and creator tells you, it's like, my views are down and YouTube is terrible. You're like, okay. And in a week, you learn first thing. When everything is good for a creator, they don't call you. They only call you when the views are bad. They only call to like they call to basically solve a problem, right? But they're like, YouTube is broken. Your algorithm changed again. It's like imagine Gabo when you will call your social media platform. You will never call them when you're happy with the views, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, your concern is really valid. Asked a few questions. Thank you for the call. This is a very complex question. I need to be back to you. I'll be back. Turn the call off and like just turn it to my friend Vadim. It's like his name is okay, what just happened? And then I would literally take a case, take an issue, go to my colleagues, go to help sources, go to data with time, and I would just brainstorm and be back to the creator over email or with a second call. And with the experience, the time for problem solving or for at least coming up with the first idea how to solve the problem decreased from, call, me taking a break, getting back to just being on a call and brainstorming a ton of things. But like TLDR, I was just like dealing with issues of creators. I had access to like some knowledge base, but mostly it was just experience. And also, then I learned another fantastic technique that I'm sure you use. When I spoke to creators, I was also asking them what's going well for them. First I was asking them, and then I was looking at their YouTube analytics. Because, like, spoiler, when you work at YouTube, when you work with content, is not as creative of a job as analytical job, at least mine. I'm the analyst. So I did everything through data. So you would look into data and like notice, oh, this works well, and this works well, and this works well. And then the neural network of your brain, with years of experience, just connects this really well and is able to take best practices from one niche to the other and kind of build this knowledge of just what works across niches on YouTube. and this is how you learn. But in the beginning, I was just like pain in the butt of my colleagues for a very long time.
Yeah, I bet, especially when you don't have that breathing space to actually look for solutions because you're jumping from calls to calls and emails and so on. And but still, once the time passed and you saw those patterns, what were those? Like, what were the patterns that work across niches, independent of algorithm changes and so on?
First, yes, to comment, we were delivering good advice. So I don't think I've ever delivered anything like terrible, or like if I did, I would call back and like, actually, this was wrong. So I think that the timeline was challenging, but then the actual delivery it had to be there. But what I learned is that actually you do not need to be hyper focused on the niche. I think any niche specific advice does not make sense as much as the top advice. And my favorite principle about the algorithm, I explain it with a anecdote. Okay? It's like the anecdote. And this will explain it all. Like really algorithm one anecdote. Algorithm is like a business. And imagine we are launching a chocolate business with you, Gabra. Okay? Me and you, we want to launch chocolate. And I have this weird taste for chocolate that is like very creative, very conceptual, very much a show, which is 99% dark chocolate with Tabasco and salt.
Interesting. I don't like either salt or Tabasco. I just want the 99% chocolate.
But then, and you are smart, and you are just like, I'm a business owner, I want money. So you come to a local shop, and you probably find out that the chocolate everyone buys is like something very, very simple from Mondelez, right? Cadbury in the UK, we have Cadbury Dairy in the UK, we have Milka in Europe. I'm not sure what they have in the US. But like we all have this very basic milk chocolate that everyone buys, right?
Because it's
And now
sweet, it's easy to eat.
it's sweet, it's terrible for your health, uh, easy to eat. Like you don't brag with it on a party, but still, like when you are on your like period, you have this in your bed. When you had a breakup, I will have this. Like this is basically your comfort food, and everyone has it. And now imagine me and you will lunch chocolate together, and we drop it into the store in the morning. Me and you, who and equal amounts. I have my shelf and I have your shelf. Which shelf will run out of chocolate quicker?
Mine 100%.
And mine will like just be there, and I'll end up with, but my chocolate is so creative. But my chocolate is so genius, no one got it. So this is how I explain content.
It's quite straightforward, right? Like there is not enough demand for something quote unquote unique or that creative or complicated and so on. And people, if are not used to it and if they don't actively searching for it or like they don't consume it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't want this to sound like oversimplifying or like saying you cannot be like creative and intellectual. You can. There is a ton of evidence, like Veritasium, like very complex content. I don't know, Fireship about programming. There are a ton of high quality content. But bottom line is, if you want views are the currency, right? Views are like the money. And like people give views to something they want to watch. And the more people wants to watch it, the more views it has. The less people want it, the less views it has. And usually the troubleshooting I deal with when someone created a fantastic concept, it was not received really well for various reasons. And then when you dive deeper, you realize that there's been lots of hints from the audience what they actually want to watch. And by the way, now with AI, we never had so much information about what people want to watch. It's just like so easy. So easy. But we just did not listen.
And what it's actually like, or for from the time that you were there, like what was the most watched type of content?
Oh, well. So, really good question. So, I think generally, and I don't want this to be an advice, but first I tell you what will always be the most watched content, and then I'll tell you why you should not follow this advice.
Okay,
Okay?
interesting.
Two things. The most watched type of content is always Mr. Beast and challenges. At some point, many years ago, it was 5 minute crafts. To your like roughly most watched. Do you remember this? Like hands just doing things.
Oh yeah, I think it was a trend at some point. I wasn't truly myself into it, but I heard about it.
5 ways to iron a t-shirt, you know, all this type of things. Of course, like Indian drama, Turkish drama now. But bottom line, certain types of content, they do not require specialty, like, or like humor and cats. Okay, cats. All right. Okay, I tell this cats. Have you ever watched Cats?
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched all of awkward stuff. Let's be honest. Let's like be honest about awkward things we watch. And Cats are not the most awkward we all watch. But
Cats or people failing, like, or like just, I don't know, like
yeah.
random things that pops up in.
And the reason is it's not because this content is better, but it's look. And now let's compare it to the content about math. I don't know, Veritasium, right? They do lots of math generally. Data, but like recently I watched everything about math. And if I want to watch Veritasium, I need to be like already specialized. I'll be specialized in math. And if I want to watch, I don't know, a creator about astronomy, I need to be into astronomy. If I want to watch content about literature, I need to be like into literature a bit. So I need to be into content to watch niche content. So niche content will always have just smaller potential group of users. Because even you, Gabe, like being well-rounded Renaissance human, right? And interested in philosophy, literature, and arts and everything, you probably don't watch all at once, right?
Correct, yeah.
So this is like problem of supply of your time. While both astronomer and the mathematician and the janitor and a banker and your boss can watch a cat.
All right, but I'll throw something back at you. That's true because it's so easy, right? It's so easy to consume. It's a broader market for it. But maybe those listeners say, "All right, Nastia, all right, Gabe, but I have a business. What can I do then? I won't be able to put videos with cats on my business YouTube channel. How this client that you mentioned differentiate himself by like having like such a, let's say, in the same time it's quite niche, right? It's not that broad of a market, the gas part, right? It's just for some countries where they are still using that for heating.
Exactly, exactly. And now this is like a really good piece because I mentioned you what's most watched because this is what you asked.
Correct.
But part why this is wrong, why you should not absolutely not be following this because you are going the best direction. So this content is measured in views. If you want to get lots of views, like just views, and you're like, wake up, you have 1 million views, you're happy, you just have to go there. But if you are a business owner or if you want like very specific audience around yourself, then you have to niche down. And the fact that you have to niche a bit, not too much, works for your benefit, right? What you need to do then is just to adjust your benchmarks. The example. I just was in a call where the lady is launching a podcast about the role of human in the age of AI, like very philosophical, very intellectual. So the key for her is that I was like, do you know we cannot thrive for 100 million views on your episode? This is just not happening. Like 1 million views on your episode is not happening anytime soon. Are you aware of it? Are you aware of like the real benchmarks you want to hit? And she's like, fine. And I'm like, this is good because views are not the only success metric that you have, right? What would be if you have a podcast, Abba? Can I use you as an
Yes,
example? Do
please.
you mind? Do you mind?
No, I
So
don't mind
you
at all.
like you have a show, you put lots of effort. Would you say that you only do it for the views? Like you wake up, you see views, you're happy, and you go, or is it like anything else in it?
If I'll do it for the views, probably I'll quit long time ago.
What else do you get? Like, how do you measure success?
So I measure success in two ways, and I started measuring in just one way. For me was is my curiosity being driven by the people that I interview? I met interesting people. I learned something new. I learned something new about the podcasting part as well. So that was my benchmark at the beginning. But then slowly shifted a bit because it turned out to be my main source of clients, even that I have just 2 digit views per episode on YouTube, for example. And
Yeah,
still, it's my main source of clients.
and you can close a client from it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Insane. Insane.
It is
So
because
this,
these are my metrics to answer your question. Right now are both curiosity because I still want to be that source of, let's say, pleasure for me because I'm a person that love to learn, and the other one it's obviously business.
yeah. And I think this is like you exactly put the formula for what's important in YouTube is to choose your metric wisely. Because views are something we all see, but it's a vanity metric, and a view in itself does not convert in anything, right? So for you, it converts into emotion and clients. And I think that's very important. For the client we mentioned who sells gas, he's like, I'm the most expensive in the market. I have 80% of the market now. And I have clients who ask me for my service in the regions I don't service them. So it absolutely pays off. And okay, he has 100, 200 views in the episodes, and it doesn't matter. So with that, I think it's very important to be honest with yourself. What is like the genuine goal? And views are just like the top and the vanity metric. It's very convenient, but a lot of times it's not the only one. If you create a YouTube channel and you only want to make money from YouTube AdSense, it's like YouTube basically pays you money for views. In this business model, you have to have a ton of views, and this business model does push you towards having more. It does.
Yeah,
It's like
it's a
art.
vanity metric for a reason.
It does push you for having more. But in today's world, well, there is so many ways to like just make money on the fact that you show your face online in a video that I don't think you have to always put everything into the views. Another one is like sales is the most common one. So this is a very long answer to your question, but like the bottom line, what I think if I wanna put a summary, YouTube and the algorithm are the place that promotes you being wide appeal, like vague word, which basically means the more people want to watch you, the better, the more the algorithm loves you. Okay. The less people, the less it promotes you. And like people tend to boil down their success to views or not, but sometimes you actually do not need to have a million views to be very, very successful. And here, sometimes the work we do with our clients is not always maximize views, but actually like find the link between why you do the channel, what's the benefit in life, and how we can connect the two to like maximize it for you. I know it's vague, but often it's like clients or meeting people. I know shows who only use their show for this strategically.
Yeah, I know as
And
well. And they literally record every single day. I was in a podcast like this, and they record daily just for this reason. And
oh my,
a lot of those people that they interviewed, it become their clients.
I worked with a podcast also recorded remotely by two entrepreneurs. They're both successful, and usually I enter the call and I expect them to tell me, hey, we want more sales. And they're like, no, we don't want sales. I'm like, but what do you want out of your show? And they're like, you know what? Our businesses are okay. They're doing really, really great. But what we get from the show, and their show is news commentary. So basically, there is a piece of news and they just meet and connect. And they're like, we will never speak to people who comment on our show. So basically, because they're a business commentary, because they're like so subjective, so brave, like actual business leaders in their country come and comment under their episodes. And the network they have in the comments is like something you absolutely cannot like invent in any other way. And
Right.
that's why they do their show. I worked with them a year ago, and now I see they're having the live recordings of the episode. They have a business club and everything. And I know that's not the main income, but they're like, we will be doing this because this opens up so much doors for many doors for us.
Yes, exactly. And that's the unseen part, right? Like often when you launch a podcast or a YouTube channel or any type of content actually, you often you don't realize how many connection you can make through that channel. It's unbelievable because it's starting a conversation. It's starting a new business partnership maybe or whatever, and that's the huge benefit on it. And not to mention that speaking of YouTube, I just read today actually before entering the call that YouTube overthrew Reddit as the number one source cited by large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on. And that's huge because if you share something on YouTube, you can actually be seen on these chat platforms that more and more people use. And still, some might say like, all right, I launched my YouTube channel and I'm getting like 2 or 3 views. What are doing wrong? Because obviously 2 or 3 views might not be enough even for those that are looking to convert those into business contracts.
Yeah, of course. So let's speak about the fact that we want to launch a channel to like actually grow. So step number one in our episode or like a video is does it actually have audience who are wide enough? I'm like, if I start a channel and I speak instantly about I'm in this channel about ants. I had it. Right? So this will be not as fast growing as I don't know, launching a channel about AI today. Right? It
Correct.
maybe not. It's just like not everyone does it. So the rate of growth is very, very different. So this is level one. I usually another example of like you want to channel about golf versus you want to channel about soccer in Europe or NFL league in the US. Football or soccer will always have more than golf. Just nature of sport, which is fine. So first when we work on the episode, we like try to find if we are in the widest possible market. Okay. This is number one. But even if in our niche, like if we specialize in something, we can also find things that interest people more or less.
Can you give me an example? Let's say for business owners that is specialize helping Instagram channels grow. That's it. They don't know anything else, just growing Instagram channels.
The video have to have is how to grow Instagram from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. If you're an expert in your niche, the widest possible audience is the audience who has not yet started. So if you teach Instagram, you have to speak to people who don't have Instagram but want to have it and want to grow it from 0 to 1,000, right? Because the potential market is much larger than, for example, if you speak to people who want to grow their Instagram from 10,000 to 100K.
Okay, makes sense, but I want to throw something back at you. Those
Yeah.
people usually don't have money to spend because they already, maybe I'm wrong, but if they're just
Mm.
starting something, they might not have money
Yeah.
to spend. So how do I make money then?
First, I would say I would remove the assumption they don't have money because you never know. This is the wrong assumption I had when I worked at YouTube because at YouTube, I would always serve fake channels, right? So if I look at the spreadsheet and I'm like, oh, this channel has 3,000 subscribers, I was like, this is probably not worth the attention. That was like my attitude, right? But now, like, just giving back to my example, right? The person having 3,000 subscriber channel can be like pretty much the most important person in the industry. So never measure people by subscribers, ever. And also don't measure yourself. That's pillar number one. But pillar number two, the algorithm is an AI. It's a machine that is smart because it sees how Gabe has this interest. So Gabe likes chocolate and baking and growing Instagram. So this is the content we want to serve him. And you watch this channel, you watch this content. But at the same time, the algorithm is designed to accumulate as many views as possible. So it's easiest to imagine it as a snowball, right? As the snowball grows larger, it grows larger and larger and larger. And this is how YouTube basically does. If you have something that has lots of audience potentially, it will accumulate views. There is one thing that YouTube cannot do, but people really want it. And this will be upsetting. People sometimes mistake YouTube for advertising. They target ads where you can place, I only want to be shown to people who make $1 million a month in the US and only do, I don't know, B2B SaaS startup and raise $3 million. Right? So this is like an ads, and this is what people on YouTube want. YouTube does not have a mechanic for this, right?
Exactly.
The way you grow on YouTube and the way you accumulate your target audience on YouTube, let's say this, B2B SaaS owners who raise ton of money you need, is by just growing a pie of total people. And then a fraction of them will be the people you need. But you cannot prevent people you don't need as clients to from watching your content.
Exactly. But
And I
those
think
will build the authority and the credibility for those that actually purchase, because those people will find you thanks to those that watch, and they'll see what you're all about and make an informed decision to purchase from you. Yeah, indeed. I love that you debunk that myth, which I honestly don't believe, because for example, in my case, I work with clients that Some of them are just starting their business, but that doesn't mean they don't have the money to invest because they make money in other ways or other sources that previous starting their own business. And it's fascinating because often we think and assume, like you said, like some people, oh, I should not bother with this person. They don't have followers. They're just starting out. They probably don't have the money, but are just assumption. And that top of the market, which is probably three, even lower than 3% that actually will buy from you, are the ones that are there, but you need to show. And that's what I love about YouTube, by the way, because in today's age when everyone is throwing AI content on all the social media platforms, on YouTube, you actually still be yourself. And from YouTube perspective, is still valuing real content, or because there are like faceless channels, I saw a lot of AI slop on YouTube, but still the content person at least I see the most are the one from real people. How long
Mhm.
that will be the case?
Yeah. Most common question I have for like literally for like a year, the top question I have, hey, how can I grow a faceless channel? Because everyone, for some reason, and people love buying into ideas of easy money, right? By the way, if you want to make content, guys, everyone will always want easy money. Like everyone, I
How
can
to get
guarantee.
rich in 2 days?
Content idea for free. Content idea for free. Um, so all of my like a lot of requests are about, hey, can I make easy money with the faceless channel? And I'll ask the return question for you, Gabe. 11 p.m. I don't know. Everyone is asleep. Your job is done. You have this sacred 10 minutes to watch something you want to watch. What did you watch? Did you watch any AI slob event?
No, I'm actually learning at that time as well, like literally like a business channel or maybe some podcasts around business. So I don't think I actually watched one single video that wasn't a face on it, but was made by a real person, which is called Ray Dalio. A lot of people might know him, and was just interactive graphics to make a point. But it was his voice on his YouTube channel, which is quite big. And of course, I knew him, so about him, and I watched it. But was I think one of the few videos I watched in the last 12 months that weren't a face on the video itself.
This is the argument. So, on the one, like, bottom line is faceless channels are one of the hardest ever channels to make. This is extremely hard. And I don't think this is going anywhere. And the reason is much deeper than just YouTube algorithm, than any social media algorithm. And this is the reason I stay in Manisha's YouTube despite things change so much. Because I think it's all based on one thing that never changes in our lifetime, and that's our biology. Everything is wired to our biology and the brain. And the way the brain works is I enjoy connection with you at the moment a lot more than if you placed your robot in here, right? Just because you are a human, my brain recognizes you as a human, and as humans, we can exchange this lots of like human chemistry. This is like psychologically, we create certain bond, right? And this is what happens between you and the other person you watch, which is called parasocial relationship. So bottom line of making any YouTube video, just creating a parasocial relationship. It's basically a relationship between me, like a real person, and your online avatar, which to my brain is like a real person. It's like hanging out with a real person.
And I just want
Right.
to stop you there for a second because what you say, it's actually making so much sense. Like, if any one of us is thinking like, who are we watching the most on YouTube and any sort of video content, are the people that we resonate the most with, that we are truly connected with them, even without seeing them in person in our entire lifetime, and so on. And we feel that we know them because either their values, their belief systems, and so on, we connect with that. And yeah, throwing back at you, like, please continue with this because indeed that's used to masterclass in a nutshell. We need to make content for humans.
Yeah, and this is like the most awkward part is when I come to a call and I usually like have calls with known people or like channels, and like then I have a call with someone I've been watching for like 5 years, and it's so awkward. No one would know them and like see me them for the they see me for the first time, and I've seen them for ages, which is so weird. The bottom line is this is what how content, especially video, this is like the foundation. But also, this is the backstory of it. This is why it's actually terribly hard to make a faceless video. Because to make a faceless video, you need to compensate for this lack of emotion with something else. And there's basically means lots of work, right? There are some good faceless channels. I would say Fireship. It's a channel about programming, which is very fun and meme. But I would never make such a channel myself. They are genius. I like the channel How Money Works. I'll throw in few channels so people can check, but they have a ton of sense of humor. But the videos are really hard to make. To be good in faceless content, you actually need to be very subjective, quite contrarian, very outstanding. Like if I would make an analogy with a color, right? As a human, your like storytelling and the video can be pale yellow and it will work. But if you want to make a faceless channel with the same content, the intensity of this content needs to be neon yellow to have the same effect. Does it make sense? You need to throw so much emotion, so much storytelling, work through every single second. It'll be expensive and hard. I mean, now people do it, and we know that AI does it, and it probably will. Can I tell you that it will never happen that AI replaces us? I cannot tell you this. I cannot promise you, no. But I think that this human touch stays. And my personal bet is that actually, with like the growth of how it's easy to create content, we will all value like real content more. It almost like will be more expensive. At some point, if I don't know, if it happens that you can put a button like create really good video, like now with like all the storytelling and everything watchable, and people will be doing it. People who will sit in front of the camera themselves will cost lots of money. The comparison is, do you remember like over COVID recently all moved online into online events? Right? But like and like, you can host concerts in like Minecraft, Roblox. But like real concert tickets are like so expensive. If you want to go to a real concert, I don't know, £500, $600 for a concert, it's a lot. And the most prestigious events people want to attend are offline at the moment already. It's like a big trend for offline, and people pay four figures for offline now, which would not be seen, years ago. So I would say that we always find a balance, and I think humans will always find a way to connect to other humans. I don't think that video is going anywhere. Even like text, I think it slightly does, but video is not.
All right, to rewind a bit back at the framework. So once you got the impressions, you got the attention of people, what are the other metrics or steps that people need to apply in order to turn that attention in someone that actually clicks on the video and becomes at some point, hopefully, either a client or a subscriber and so on?
Fantastic question. Let's play a game. You are in the mood of watching something.
Right.
All right. You open up your YouTube on a TV or laptop. Where do you watch your YouTube usually? TV?
Oh, my phone.
Oh. Yeah. By the way, TV is the fastest growing surface.
I heard. I was like blown away when I heard. I saw even on my podcast, like most people watch it on TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. That's okay. That's good because on TV you probably have the longest retention, which is very good. We can check it out later. So TV is yes, because basically we don't watch TV, we watch YouTube, and YouTube content is becoming TV friendly. So it's all kind of closing the loop. But the second thing, to choose the video. You cannot watch the whole thing, and YouTube always gives you a number of videos, right? So what is the next step to make you between you not watching the video and you watch? What you do in between?
So I think if it's worth my time sometimes I'm like, when I watch it, especially lately, like either I scroll to random and I'm like, huh, this sparks my curiosity, or this is an interesting take. Because I obviously first I see the thumbnails, and if the thumbnail grabs my attention, then I read the title, and if that title kind of support the thumbnail, then I click and watch the first seconds to see if supports that
Yeah.
message.
Correct. Correct. So the next very important step is thumbnail. It's like how you package it, right? So packaging is very important. Again, analogy with chocolate. If you enter a store and you imagine a protein bar, if you unpack a protein bar, they all look terribly ugly. These are the ugliest bars in the world, how they look unpacked. But packed, they are the most beautiful creatures in the world. And in the UK, they are like £3 per piece, right? So packaging is everything because packaging is the first step between you and the video. It's the first step between you and opening this bar and eating it. So this is where we do what you just mentioned. We try to cause curiosity. Because again, if we go to biology level, I know this was not supposed to be biology podcast, but this is how far I love going. And also because if you another trick for like people who want to grow on YouTube or who want to be really good content strategists, right? Is I love going not on like the tactical level. Oh, this is what works on YouTube. This is like the magic trick. No, let's go to down to the system. Why is it so? Let's go to the deepest why. And the deepest why is I learned it from a book called the the science of storytelling, I think. So the emotion called curiosity, which is the time when we have a bit of information but not complete information, right? So this state is terrible for our brain. Our brain hates having incomplete information. It's unbearable. We don't like it as humans. So this is the emotion we all play on thumbnails because we want people to get curious, right? Because if thumbnail makes us curious, we experience the state that we don't want to experience anymore. And to close this gap, which is we click on video. So thumbnails are essentially designed to make us curious.
And speaking of timelines, like it's interesting that even other platforms went that route, right? I think TikTok started with having like the first scene with call to action or something on it. And then Spotify now borrowed the YouTube approach to have thumbnails on their videos and podcasts and so on. And obviously you have the reels with the cover on Instagram. So it's something that everyone is like literally copying the YouTube playbook here.
Yes, even though I would put the two consumption parts and I don't think they cross themselves out like thumbnails and videos and reels like the feed. Okay. So these are two very separate use cases. So on TV you choose what watch and you click, right? And you make a choice and you watch something for longer. And also because you made the choice, you're more invested, right? You probably give it a little more time. And then the feed where you just scroll through your phone, I don't think it's going anywhere. And this feed works differently. So to choose a video on YouTube, you actually need to make an effort. This is an effort. Choice is a terrible work. It's work. It's hard for the brain. So we choose like longer, wiser, and we are more committed to the video. While when we scroll, and why at some point TikTok became so successful and took everyone by the storm, is because it removed the burden of even choosing. So just throw it in your face, guy. You just need to lie down. We'll be throwing videos at you. So this is even lazier choice, and that's why it was like took everything by storm, combined with like really good algorithms that basically guess what we want to watch. But with that, but both of the stories come down to one thing. We only have 24 hours a day. We only have, I don't know, 1 hour to watch something, and we only have that much attention. We cannot watch everything. So ultimately, where social media, which is free, there's a lot, they all fight for like us to make a decision to stay. And this is like the most important piece nowadays. So for long videos, this is a thumbnail. For short videos, this is how we start them. The first step.
And after that, after the thumbnail, like the title, how important it is because often, so personally I check it, but in the same time, I know like, for example, let's see, if you look at the TV and you have like, I don't know how many YouTube videos fits in one screen, but maybe are like, I don't know, 12 or whatever, the titles is not even that visible.
Mm-hmm. Good question. To be honest, I do not divide. I used to have a formula. When I worked at YouTube, I used to have one formula for people who are undecided. Okay. And I think it's still a good one. Still a good one. On a title, I would write what the video is about, right? Gaba teaches you how to make first 1,000 followers on Instagram from 0 to 1,000 followers on Instagram. Cool. But then the thumbnail is the first thing you see. So it's more like emotion. Thumbnail is more about emotion. It's emotion. And on the thumbnail, you can put in 3 weeks, right? which will suddenly spark curiosity, or in a week, which can suddenly spark the curiosity of a person who did not even want this 1,000 followers. Now they want to know how you do it in a week. So this is kind of the additional piece you can do. But they usually, it's super hard to split because like you ultimately you glance at all of them at once as like one set, thumbnail and a title. And sometimes I do not really think about them as like separate entities. I do the different exercise. We just did it on Friday with a really big corporate client where we had a video. We delivered concepts of like, this is like 4 different concepts of whole packaging. And then we developed these 4 concepts, both title and a thumbnail. And we brainstormed each. We brainstormed 5 versions of each title, 4 versions of each thumbnail. So ultimately we have 4, 16, 20, 36 various elements to play with and combine.
And how you
This is
decide when it's does the A/B testing on YouTube now? I know that they included even the to A/B test the titles. Are you leveraging that, or we should leverage that or not?
yeah. 2 rules. First, very important rule: you can never be sure for 100%. It's okay. You will always upload your video being like 90% sure, 80% sure. I think that's where we go wrong as we look for 100% guarantee, which just does not exist in social media. Does not. Like, this is just like, it's like in business. There are places where we can get 100% guarantee, but that's not social media. So let's just like ditch it and be fine with being uncomfortable about whether we push the right thing or not. It's just like I allow everyone to push like not the perfect thing. This is the most important piece. But once we agreed, we can still test. So YouTube has a tool that allows you to test up to 3 thumbnails and up to 3 titles. And I do think you have to leverage it. We announced it on the event in 2019, 2019, so many years ago. And since then, like COVID happened, lots of other priorities happened. So basically, YouTube postponed this feature for a very, very long time until it released in like 2024, I think. So 5 years. Like we were absolutely bombarded with emails asking, where is this feature you promised? Deliver on it. We were bombarded. So it's really necessary. So one, use it. Secondly, why to use it? Because YouTube is a very smart algorithm and engineers truly put lots of thought into tweaking the system to be really informative. We can use statistics. We can ask YouTube to make statistically significant, so like scientifically, significant a decision and help. Why not to use it?
Yeah, true. But
I
one thing, like for example, on smaller channels like mine, in which I don't get a lot of views, in theory, is not statistically relevant the A/B test, right?
So the A/B test will only work and finish once it becomes statistically relevant. So the smaller your channel is, the longer the test will run.
Okay.
It will reach statistical significance. But of course, if your channel is smaller, it will take longer. If your channel is like very, very big, it will take very short time.
So now they clicked. So we had the attention, the thumbnail and the title made them click. What makes a good YouTube video that people actually watch?
So the thing that YouTube rewards the most is watch time. Is the amount of minutes or hours I spend watching you.
So it's more important than the other two, right?
And now you see, this is like an interesting part because theoretically it is, but in practice you cannot get to watch time until you like get the video of like something you want to learn that is packaged nicely.
True.
So if I make Avatar and another most expensive movie in the world and place like a terrible, I don't know, a terrible thumbnail
Poster
on
or
it.
yeah.
Imagine I drew it in paint, like no one clicks, okay? Unless it's like a trick and so on and so forth. But like bottom line is the thumbnail is bad, no one clicks, so your watch time goes away. So you cannot have a lot of views without having a good thumbnail. Impossible. But then once people come in, again, very basic psychology. What do you, really professional, really popular with clients and podcasts, Gabe, do when you don't like a video?
Skip.
Not because we're cruel people, because we are just busy people who have lots of things to do. So our job as content creators is try not to be boring, right? In all sorts of ways. And naturally, the beginning of the video is more vulnerable point, right? On YouTube, you may see lots of speculation around whether this has to be first 4 seconds or 8 or 12. I don't really think this is really, really important. I think the bottom line is the beginning of the video, we are really vulnerable as a creator because we are being shown to the person for the first time. And naturally, if you meet someone in the street for the first time in your life, you are the most skeptical and suspicious around them. It's just like, again, biology. So you give them less chance. They need to prove it. So that's why people in the very beginning of the video, they need to tease you. You know, they need to prove you they're going to be value. So they need to kind of show you that, hey, it's worth staying. So if in the very beginning of your video, you give a very clear sign, hey, it's really worth that you stay in all sorts of techniques. This will good and the person will likely stay, right? If they stay, that's good. And the longer they stay, the better it is. And and this is how it goes. And then of course, the last thing not to be boring and
Can you give me some examples? What will make someone so bored that, oh, I won't watch this channel ever again?
for example, speaking about theory without examples, without stories, repeating the same thing over and over again and over and over again and repeating again and saying the same thing over and over and getting you to the point I heard this. So there is a list of things, and if you remove just this, just the things we mentioned, it makes it better.
And speak of stories, I saw that you apply all these learnings that you shared today with us on a very personal channel, I would say, the one of your mother, that you grew
Yes,
to over 600,000 subscribers.
that's true. 610 as of 2 days ago. I'm not sure about the count
Wow,
today.
congrats. Can you share a bit more about the story behind it?
Everything, everything. This channel is a business. This channel is a business. And as I preach, it's not a business from AdSense, but this is a business from business. My mother, she is 56 years old now. She started her channel from absolute zero and from zero background anywhere near YouTube or anywhere near tech, like zero background. She managed. At this time, the way she monetizes and what she speaks to, who she speaks to, are women who want to maintain their youthful appearance, look younger, without using Botox or surgeries because they don't want to like do invasive things or they don't have money for this or some other reasons. What she does, she's like, these are like mostly face exercises, posture exercises, food, nutrition, basically be healthy, but healthy, narrowed down towards like useful appearance. So this is what she does. And then she speaks about this in her channel. But people who wanna do this systemically, they attend her classes
Nice.
that are over Zoom. And I think for 5 years already or six, my mother has been delivering classes 4 times a week over Zoom to her community all the time.
Oh,
Imagine this.
that's an insane commitment. 4 times a week.
Yeah, Monday to Thursday.
Wow.
And then on the weekend, you have a recording of one of the classes that you had. Sometimes she would like, if she's not in a good health or she travels, she may drop a recording or two so the community loves her. So of course they have like some permission, but generally she's with them live all the time and this is what they pay her for. And by the way, speaking about our past idea about, hey, will AI and automation replace everything? In the very beginning, when we were building a business and we knew this will be some part of a learning business, right? We thought, we'll just record classes, we'll build a platform, people buy it. And now it's pushing it. You know what was the result? Complete failure. Complete. And I was like, Mom, but I want you to chill and have like money like that and not work every day. And at some point she insisted, no, I want to do this way. And this is where things took off.
What exactly changed?
So there is a channel, and on the channel we were selling the program, right, to train with her. What changed, instead of the recordings, you could get to actual training with her over Zoom, over them. And people value this immensely. So people want to actually be on the Zoom with her at the same time she is there
Nice, because
and
it's
change.
that the human connection. It's there, and I love how like in a way so niche because like face yoga, but in the same time the appeal it's huge because it's about appearance and everyone values that, right? So it's like, and it's basically the lesson that you teach us: go broad but narrow in the same time and you'll have success.
And her audience are mostly 55 plus in shorts as well. So whenever I say I speak to anyone, they're like, no, only young people watch YouTube. I'm like, this is the stats. So her audience are mostly like 55 plus, and her oldest 82-year-old client found her on YouTube and paid her money trained with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I saw this example as well in terms of audiences on client YouTube channel of a podcast. Like the biggest audience were in the 55 plus range, and that were listening to the podcast because it was the audience of the host. And
Uh huh.
this is another interesting thing about podcasting. Like often people don't tune in for the guest, but they tune in for the host, which at the beginning I was like, oh, I should chase all the biggest names in the world to be on the podcast. But surprisingly, people connect a lot with the host and they listen thanks to the host, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean that guests are not important because the guest made the conversation, but often it's also an overlooked thing when it comes to the podcasting world. But getting back to your mom's channel, like to put things into perspective, so you mentioned around 6, 7 years it took to grow the channel.
The whole business we started in 2019. So it's been 6 years ago, six, seven, right? So not full seven. But the channel actually grew in just three.
Wow.
So I think the full growth of the channel probably happened in 3, 4. Let's round it up to 4 years. Reason is, initially we started on Instagram because it's beauty, because it's easy, and women typically start on Instagram because it feels easier. And many people start Instagram, like today, people start LinkedIn from the professional community because it feels easier to create content, which makes it actually much harder. What happened with Instagram a few ways. My mother grew a bit, but she burned out terribly because Instagram is a platform where you don't engage with content for long, right? So you watch a story for like, I don't know, 2 seconds.
Yeah, and you have to continue creating content.
So she literally burned out because she had to do stories every day, post stories, post content every day. And she's like, I cannot live like that. I don't like it. I'm burning out. And it was like deep issue because, if it happened like 1, 2 years into the business, what you're gonna do in 10? I was convincing her to do YouTube for a very long time, but as many people, she's like, no, this is too complex. Until COVID hit, they were like, okay, what do we lose? And she created a video. So first few videos, they were done with the actually hired crew in a studio because I come from a big town. There was not like a typical studio or anything. It's like everything was really, really basic. And then we quickly moved into at-home setup with like a phone and like very basic microphone. If you look at her first videos, they actually look like they've been shot with a like, I don't know, with like a Tetris or like something very, very basic. But they were like working. And I think once she stepped through this initial friction of learning how to make video, things became much easier because now a person can stay with her for 10 minutes on a video, for 15. you know
Wow.
and in the past, to get this much engagement from YouTube, from Instagram stories, and if each story was by 5 seconds, just calculate how much time, how many stories she would need to produce to generate 10 minutes of engagement. Endless amount. Impossible.
And that's the trap of social media because indeed it feels easy because, oh, I'll just record a 30-second video or I'll just post an image or I'll just do a quick story right now. But then at the end of the week, you post this like 50 probably pieces of content and you end up in a position in which like, holy crap, I did content every single day, what I'm doing here. And yeah, and when it comes to YouTube, you usually post one time a week, some channels 2 times a week, but Even sometimes you don't even have to post, and it's still there comparing to the social media algorithms that just push it for a couple of days in the best case scenarios, because sometimes it's just a couple of hours.
And this is why I like YouTube, because I think YouTube is the only evergreen platform. By evergreen, we mean that you upload your episode on YouTube, and hopefully we can sometimes expect it to be watched for years. I had the case with my client where we met in 2025, and I went into their YouTube analytics and discovered that their most watched video was uploaded in 2019. So 5 years before we met. 5 years. Do you remember what you've done 5 years ago? No idea.
Exactly,
No
yeah.
idea. And now, like 5 years down the road, do you wish you started your podcast then? And like you probably had a video 5 years ago. Probably, right? And this video was shot at home. So they had this video, and we looked into the data, and we saw that this video, every single day, this video was generating more views than the day before.
Hmm. That's evergreen
So,
content with
right?
finest, yeah.
Right? And then this video had a link to their product. It's like a very big company, 500 million turnover a year. So these are like very big IT companies. Like, this generates views still. This is like very, I think, because I don't like working too much.
Who does, right?
Like, I don't know. I feel like I think we are living this toxic productivity era, but some people are still there. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But I've been in this era for a very long time. Um, so it does not inspire me to create something daily, to for it to vanish. So that's the reason I like YouTube channel, is because yes, you have to put in the work. It's not like for free, but once you put in the work, each video can work for a very long time. And my mother's content, a lot of videos are evergreen. Like how to remove your belly. Like some people wanted to remove their belly 20 years ago, 10, and now, right? Or you want to have no wrinkles all the time, and I'm not sure it goes anywhere. So with that, this content is like pretty much evergreen. So she can afford, I don't know, a 3 week break, a month's break, and things don't break. The channel works, business works, everything works. We actually been to already a lot of vacation together when she does not upload and does not make videos. She just like there. And also before leaving for the vacation, she does not like stuck her channel with 5 uploads. No, no, no. So I think this is the biggest unlock for us. Business wise, she has time. Well being wise, she just feels okay and she doesn't hate the whole process. So this is why I like YouTube a lot. And I think that ROI is much higher. Again, people listen to you, people stay with you longer, but also your asset that you create, it just keeps working. And once you have the channel, and now imagine you've been having a channel for years, and I actually know the creators who've been on the platform for 10 years, and they made like a year break, a 2 year break, 3 year break. My record channel, we brought a creator after a 3 year break. 3 years, no videos. First month's million views. But the past videos still work. So your also image does not vanish that much. Or I have creators, especially in some niches like neuroscience, who've built their channel for a few years, like 5, stopped uploading. But they've built so much, renown for themselves and the brand that they still get invited, that they still have their business running. So it also does not have to be forever.
And that's the beauty of it, right? Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, as a human, you don't want to be all the time there in the trenches, running your business, creating something for your business, or so. And for those that are, you give all the reasons in the world for anyone to either like invest in their YouTube channel more, or start their own YouTube channel and so on. But some might still be on the fence. Oh, I tried this, didn't work for me, or that and that. What you will tell them?
So it really depends. I would love to look at their cases because, as I mentioned before, everyone is different. I know it's tempting to have one single framework for everyone. It doesn't exist. But like on the top of list, okay, this few may work for many. Reason number one why people burn out when it comes to the channel is surprising, but they do not know how they make money on it. Example, you make the episode, you have clients from this. So you kind of have the incentive, that the episode comes, the client comes, right? Or every few episodes, you create content, people come. So you have a natural incentive not to stop and to improve. But I met people who thought that if they launch a channel, it will suddenly make them rich by itself.
Which
So
obviously doesn't work that way.
or like make money. People do not always imagine in enough detail the path from actual launching the channel to like milking it, right? How do you milk it? And there are so many ways to do it. I spoke to the podcast creator. She invested lots of money in the studio. She released like 8 episodes, and she's like, but I don't have money to develop it anymore. Often people come to me when I was at YouTube, especially, almost like they would come to me being defensive or like, not defensive, but like demanding money. Like I've made 8 episodes, where is my money? So this type of an attitude that I don't think is helpful because as we mentioned, content is just like one piece of the puzzle. If you're creating content for the sake of content is cool, but if you're creating content to make money, it's better to like, do anything, like sell your consultation. I spoke to this woman and she's like, I cannot get your services because I don't have money. Can you do anything for free? I'm like, no. But I'm like, what I can do, advise you, do you like sell consultations? She's like, yes. I'm like, do you have a link under your episode? And do you say in the episode, hey, I consult on this? She's like, no. I'm like, why? You probably lost a ton of sales on it. So one is this. The business model doesn't have to be hard. It can be really, really, really simple. As like Zoom call. That's it. That's enough. That's reason number one. Reason number two, I think that people overinvest money. So the first thing, right? So the channel is like a business. You need to test lots of things. As I mentioned, we are in the content space. It will never be certain. We just signed a paper entering the uncertain space with no guarantees. It's like, because if it were certain, everyone around us would have 100,000 subscribers, right? If it was as simple. But for some reason, we like people don't want to walk around flexing all of their subscribers because it's hard. You need to put effort. So we are entering this space, and people sometimes enter the space with like, okay, I'll put all the money I have into my first 8 episodes, right? So I think what makes sense is start easy, start lower budget. Like me and my mom, we literally started with a phone and like the mic, which was like $30. Our first camera was a used camera. So for a very long time, we invested nothing and we made it really, really far. And even now, if you look at her setup, it's nowhere near a professional studio. No, no, no. No, no, no. So with this, do not invest too much in the beginning. First, try to understand the system, plan for the content, right? Plan for the 3 things I mentioned. Do it raw or raw-ish, and only then like invest more. The wrong way people do is they call me. It's also like very authentic call from a few weeks ago. They call me, is like, hey, I've spent like a month on shooting this video, and then I want to launch my channel and I want to do it really, really big. Can you help? I'm like, but you've done all the work. I can re-edit stuff, but there is as much as I can do, right? Not much, because the previous things like ideation has not been worked through. Is there material for a thumbnail? Nothing has been worked through. So I think just overinvest, just start and invest gradually. Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense because indeed, if you don't plan, you'll almost certainly fail. Like you just don't sit in front of a camera, start recording without having a clear understanding. All right, what will be the potential packaging of that video? What will be the potential audience of that video? And if you just, oh, I'll record a video about growing guinea pigs, and there might be a market for them, but not a lot of people might watch that. And
Yeah, or like, I think the very typical thing is like, I know you are in the podcast space, but many people want to do it. So I want to like speak about this very often case is like, I'll have a podcast. I want to have like 100,000 views, but then no one knows me, no one knows my guest, and no one knows what we speak about. But I want my 100K views, right? So there is a lot needs to be placed into the idea to make sure it's marketable. This is, I think, what me and you will speak about. Is the same as in business. If we launch a business of chocolate, right, I can be as much like pushing my Tabasco chocolate as I want, but it probably won't be the most eaten chocolate on the globe. So I would rather invest all the effort into understanding how the platform works, how human psychology works, and pre-planning, and as little money as possible in the beginning into actual production.
And the production itself might sounds fancy to purchase the nicest camera, lights, and everything. I even remember like how I record my first podcast was in a co-working space on how you call it, the camera of the laptop, and on a, I think it was like $20 mic and so on. Like, and this professional mic I just bought less than 1 year ago, and I'm like, I already recorded 100 episodes when I got it. So you need to start somewhere. You don't have to like overcomplicate things. And of course, you can add better audio, better light, better everything. But once you validate that the direction you're going to, it's the right one. Speaking of validation and directions on some might need help, like hand holding to make it happen. Where they can reach out to you in order to get help.
I work in a few ways. Number one, I have my mentorship, which runs a few times a year, where I mentor people how to grow their channel on YouTube with all of my framework I mentioned, but not in theory, like not an online class. I do have a bit of online classes, but I actually focus on practice. So we practice a lot. I put you through my framework. I make sure you do the work on your channel, and I work with you by giving you feedback, pointing you in the right direction, answering your questions, pulling all of my ex colleagues from Google to work for you as well, and creative lots of creative facilitation to make sure you never leave without idea. So this is mentorship called Insider. We'll place a link to the webpage, and otherwise, if you want to work directly with me and need advisory, you can reach on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to talk and direct the conversation further. And if anyone wants to read a bit more free stuff, just read more about what we spoke about. I have my Substack where I actually put quite a lot of free, very good, high quality content on it. So if you subscribe, I push all of the newsletters to everyone, so you don't have to pay. So feel free to sign up.
For anyone listening and watching, the links will be down below. And before we conclude, I would like you to go a bit back in time in the moment that you're about to quit working for Google. What you will tell yourself back then?
So there are a few things I think I learned a lot. So I will tell myself productize. It's a terrible word. So like just leave with the product. Like now I have Insider that have very specific curriculum for mentorship and for the agency. But back in time I would just like talking to all the people in the world, trying to offer everything and actually spread out myself thin. And I think I wish I didn't do that because this would save me time. So this is number one. Number two, launch a newsletter earlier.
So useful, right?
No, number two, launch newsletter earlier. So I think I just launched it like 2 years later, and it's so surprising how it works. And the previous, I lost so much traffic from like my own channel. I lost so many potential subscribers, so I need to reshoot everything and do it. But otherwise, I learned a lot, and I would tell myself a lot. But honestly, I don't think I would kind of internalize it without having all of this experience.
That was Anastazja Debowska on Authority on the Wild. And if this conversation made you learn something new about YouTube, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if these are the kind of conversation you like, you know what to do. Subscribe to not miss the next one. Until next week, see you in the wild.